look at that.
What?
We're recording. Hey guys, welcome to Home Court Podcast. I got you so bad right there. That was awesome. It's 7 a.m. for Sam in LA, and I am under the weather a little bit, so we were kind of giggling about the quality of this episode, but I think it's going to turn out just fine.
I think it's going to be the best
We're
one
coming
yet.
live at you. Yeah, we're coming live at you with the NBA playoff, our brackets, our predictions, our picks, our locked-in, loaded picks for the next month or so as we approach the NBA championship. And, we're excited. Are you ready, Sam?
Oh, absolutely. Connor's sick. I'm on just a couple hours of sleep, but that shows our dedication to the podcast. You know what? A lot of people might say we're not living for it, but we are. This is our life. This is all we care about. We're making picks today, and that's it. That's final. We've gotten to see one day of the play-in tournament, and to be honest, it was, a little less exciting than I was hoping. Still a lot of eyes on the TV for the Washington-Boston game, which was a little closer, but Indiana just ran through Charlotte. Really showed that Indiana is a solid team that had just one of those shaky years that was super unpredictable. And I think Indiana is going to get that 8th seed. Big day for my Lakers tonight. That's why I'm scoring the brown jersey. I think they're going to get it done. Sometimes when the whole world wants to take the underdog, it just doesn't work out. You know what I mean? I'm sure a lot of people wanted Charlotte to be Indiana, but it just didn't work out. I think it's going to be one of those games where the Lakers just lock in. Everyone's going to be playing. And Steph, it doesn't matter if Steph has 40. The Lakers can get it done.
40.
And then
40. Steph might have 70 tonight.
If he has 70?
It might be one of those nights for him.
Doesn't matter. And he won't, because the Lakers, number one rated defense. Don't talk to my boy Bronny about not playing defense, even though sometimes he doesn't. Because when he locks in, he can stop anyone. He's still that kind of guy. The other playing
Zero
games,
people are stopping Steph.
No, you're right. KCP will do his best, and Dylan Brooks had a good run at it in their pre-playing game. That's race for the 8th spot in the West. The other playing game today is Memphis Spurs, which we want Memphis, me and you. And
yeah, we want Memphis. Also, I think this game is irrelevant because whoever wins it is going to get throttled by the winner of Lakers-Warriors or loser of Lakers-Warriors.
I wouldn't be so sure. I would not be so sure because you could get a jaw game. Because Memphis they were head-to-head or toe-to-toe, we'll say, with the Warriors in that pre-playing game. And Ja was not having a good game. They were leaving him open from 3. He couldn't get anything going the entire time. Dylan Brooks was doing a really good job on Steph, and then he fouled out, and Steph went. He had 2 stretches in that game where he really couldn't miss, it felt like. But then you look at the stat line, and he's like 8 for 22. I think the Lakers can manage that. But I just wouldn't be so sure. I wouldn't write off the Grizzlies because Jaren Jackson is so solid, and every game back he's looked a little sharper. And like I said, Dylan Brooks, he'll be relentless. He might foul out again, though, because Steph is truly unstoppable. I don't want to take anything away from him. But he's doing it alone, barring an Andrew Wiggins type game or Draymond dialing in and being really effective, which he's kind of shown to be in these tough games.
Draymond dialing in for like 8 points, 16 rebounds, and 7 assists. My guy really changing the game.
Yeah, nothing more valuable to the Warriors than Draymond having that stat line. So with all this being said, should we just start firing away our picks? Having seen one play-in day, I think it's going to be a little easier to predict tonight. You want to start with the East, Connor?
We'll start with the East. Philly plays the winner of Indiana and Washington.
Yes, exactly. So you have to pick the play-in, too.
Philly's going to absolutely throttle.
I think so. Yeah.
Washington wins and gets 5-0 or 5-1 against Philly.
4-1.
I'll give him a game.
I think, Indiana's going to win this play-in game. I think they're a far better team than the Wizards, and the Wizards showed how fragile they can be by losing to a Boston team that's looked terrible all year. When it came down to it, because Russ, he's going to put in those effort stats and whatnot, but sometimes the shot doesn't fall. And when that happens, that Wizards team is not deep. But I want you to explain to me, like, the ins and outs. How do you think that series will go? You said 5 games, give them 1. But how is Philly planning to dominate the Wizards?
Yeah, see, I would rather save the analysts of a series for a series that's actually relevant, because realistically what will happen is Joel Embiid will just absolutely dominate that entire series. Simmons won't even, he'll be all right. He's just such a good defender that I think if Washington ends up getting that spot, like, good luck, Brad. Bradley has taken it to him a few times this year, but, I don't know.
I think you're right.
The Wizards teams gets exponentially worse playing against Philly than they would against even like Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I think Joel Embiid
because
in
of
a
Simmons.
series like that, it just can't be stopped.
And he just eats, and then they move on, and they wait for the winner of Knicks Hawks.
Agreed. Washington does have Daniel Gafford, who's become a rim protector. Doesn't matter. Joel Embiid is so dominant this year. But that is worth being said. But with my pick, Indiana, to win this play-in game, I think it's a little more complicated for the Sixers. I still like the Sixers in that series, but I think it goes to 6. I think Domantas Sabonis is really, really good.
What?
We've talked about this before. And then if Karis LeVert, I don't know why he was out. It was health and safety protocols. Karis LeVert, he's super solid. He can get a bucket pretty much whenever he wants. They got Brogdon back playing pretty well. Brissett. This team's not bad. I think they can get a couple games out of Philly because, in a play-in game, a serious game with Charlotte, and I'm not saying Charlotte's looked that great as of late. They put up 140-plus points and beat them by 40. This is a playoff environment. They put up 140 points. Karis LeVert didn't play. Is that because they're better without Karis LeVert? Probably not. So I think Indiana's one of those sneaky teams that just had a terrible year. And I think they could take Philly to 6 games. With that being said, Philly's going to win that series.
Are you done?
I'm done.
All right. Well, sorry, I really wanted to hear what you were saying and not just look at you for after that comment. There's no way Indiana takes Philly to 6 games. No way. It'll be 4-0. Either one of them, Washington or Indiana, could get one game. But Philly will blast through that 8 spot. I promise you that. All right, let's go to number 2.
All
Brooklyn
right,
plays the winner of. Brooklyn plays Boston.
Oh my gosh, that is a clean sweep. I think it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be really ugly for the Boston organization, and I think a series like this might be something that could push Brad Stevens out the door. I think it's gonna be that ugly. And again, we reference Bill Simmons pretty much once or twice a podcast, but he's a Celtics fan, and he said he hoped Boston would lose because he does not want to see Boston get destroyed by Brooklyn night in, night out, and have all of the Boston players go hug Kyrie afterwards. He's like, that's the last thing I will ever want to see, and he knows it's going to happen. And he's
heard that too.
He's right. They're just all going to be hugging Kyrie like he's their king, and they're just going to get swept. I think it's going to be so ugly. I think it's going to be not a close game. Maybe one close game, like the little brother game.
What if this is an opportunity for Tatum to just go bazonkers, drop 45, 10, and 10, and them to maybe win a game while he does that?
Yeah, see, that's the catch. It's like, oh, he drops 45, 10, and 10. They win one game. That's it. But I think he...
It's okay because Kemba went 4 for 22.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think
Kemba
there's
sucks,
anything...
dude. Kemba's awful.
Yeah, agreed. No, I mean, he's not an awful basketball player, but I agree that he's no longer effective in a playoff environment. There's nothing Jason Tatum can do. And Jaylen Brown's out. I mean, this team is not good. I think, objectively, Boston's not a good team like they seemed to be a couple of years ago. And I think that's a sweep. Can I pencil you in for a sweep as well?
Yep.
Not even a game from either of us. I think that...
Are we penciling this stuff in right now, please?
I'll remember it all. But yes, I mean, for the listeners out there, we're penciling it in.
We're penciling.
Yeah, I might...
Absolutely 100% penciling.
I might set up... maybe I'll put a bracket in the end or something so our picks can be immortalized. Because I know mine are going to be perfect. Perfect score, 100%. So let's move on. That Boston-Brooklyn series is just... I don't think that's worth watching at all. Even though I will a couple times just to see how just terrible it looks. Let's move on. So probably the most exciting... I don't even want to say exciting, but the most upset-worthy series is Heat Milwaukee, because we saw what happened last year. This is Milwaukee. If they lose this series, I mean, they're in a really weird place. With an MVP on their team, having picked up Drew Holiday, Milwaukee has to win this series. And Miami's rounding into form, just perfect timing. It's like a perfect storm for things to go nuts in Milwaukee, and I don't want that to happen. I actually like that organization, and I actually want them to succeed. And I think they're better than the Heat. I think Drew Holiday makes a substantial difference for this Bucks team, and I think his defensive presence will carry them through the series if it becomes a tough, long series. I'm not saying he's carrying them. Giannis is carrying them, but I think on the defensive end, to have that guy that you can always depend on. He's one of the best defenders in the league.
I was getting close here.
In my opinion, Drew Holiday is. And maybe that's just because I watched a feature on him, and he said himself, I'm one of the best defenders in the league, and maybe I just believe him. But I think
people hate playing against Drew. He's so freaking long and lanky.
Exactly. I think that defense will take them through some tough times. And this series could depend a lot on whether or not Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, Goran Dragic, Kendrick Nunn make threes. But I take Bucks in this series, and I think it's going to 6 games. Bucks 4-2 is my pick.
What is the status of what's his name? Deion Waiters? No, not Deion Waiters.
What's his name? PJ Tucker?
The shooting guard. No.
Shooting guard Chris Middleton?
No.
Is it a Heat guy?
Say less. Hold on. Yes.
You got to give me more. Because
my brain is on the Heat. Give me a second. Oladipo!
Oh, I think he was going to come back. I totally forgot.
Is he back for the series?
I don't know if he's back right away, but I heard he could be coming back. And I don't think it... No disrespect to Victor Oladipo, but I don't think it makes much of a difference in the series.
Victor Oladipo undergoes season-ending surgery yesterday, so Victor Oladipo is out.
Okay, and like I said, I didn't think it would make a huge difference.
It wouldn't make I don't think it makes a full game of a difference, but
no, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he makes them worse, though. Obviously,
no.
What's your pick for that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go Milwaukee 5-1.
5-1. I like that. I think Milwaukee's a sleeper this year.
I think these teams. I think Philly, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn are trying to get through the first round as fast as possible because Philly's scared because they have New York or Atlanta waiting. We got to get to this series real quick. This is the one I'm very excited to talk about.
I'm excited to talk about it too. But can I quick ask you a question before we get in?
Yeah.
Who has the best chance to take Brooklyn out? What team do you see as the biggest threat to Brooklyn's journey to the title?
The New York Knicks.
That is
genuinely the truth.
That is just so...
No team can beat Brooklyn. No team can beat Brooklyn. No team can beat Brooklyn in the Eastern Conference.
I mean,
the only way to beat that team is... The only way to beat that team... this might sound a little ridiculous.
This is a terrible take. I think you're doing this on purpose. It's so bad.
My brain hurts. All right, we need to chop that.
We're not chopping that out. You took Knicks. You took Knicks as the biggest threat to Brooklyn. There's never been a more objectively wrong
I actually
answer.
think that they can be. All right, let me back up my point.
I like the Knicks too. I think they're awesome, and I know what you're saying. You know, fire and ice, they're completely different.
No, Sam, don't try to back up my points.
It's terrible.
All right, I'm taking New York. I'm taking the New York Knicks. Why? Why do you ask me? Because Milwaukee isn't beating Brooklyn. Philly isn't beating Brooklyn. I'm crying laughing. Philly isn't beating Brooklyn. If anyone is going to beat Brooklyn in the East, it is the New York Knicks.
No. If anyone's going to beat them, it's probably the Sixers because of the matchups.
No, think about it. Yeah, because they're the 1 seed in the matchups. Because Joel Embiid and Dion. No bullshit. The way to beat Brooklyn, you gotta make them. You gotta make them
points, but just said it in a voice. Brooklyn doesn't have somebody to stop Joel Embiid. That's a true point. That's a valid argument.
Okay, great. And Philadelphia has someone to stop Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. And Jeff Green, who somehow became amazing this year.
They have Thibault and Ben Simmons with a rim protector. I'm not saying nobody's stopping them.
Thibault and Ben Simmons with a rim protector.
We both know Thibault and Ben Simmons are two of the best defenders.
Thibault? Great defenders.
Receipts. Yeah, okay, there are receipts, so don't go there. Matisse Thibault's a great defender.
He is a great defender. I love watching him play defense, but guess what? Does he fill it up? No. Does Ben fill it up? Absolutely not. Does Ben fill it up in the playoffs? No. Can he get to the rim? Sure.
Against Brooklyn, too. Brooklyn is a weak defensive team. Ben Simmons could be in the paint getting 20 a game in that series, potentially.
Can you imagine
not crazy.
if New York beats Philadelphia? Let me back this point up because I'm starting to buy in. If New York beats Philadelphia, and obviously Brooklyn just runs through Milwaukee and Boston.
That's not obvious to me.
And they meet in the Eastern Conference Finals. I said if. Wait, Brooklyn is... You think Brooklyn could get beat by Milwaukee?
I do. I think Brooklyn's a little more fragile than we give them credit for.
All right, I'm trying to focus on what you're saying here.
For the audio listeners, Connor keeps putting his mask over his eyes. I don't know why.
I just don't want to look at you while you make awful takes. My Knicks take is better than yours.
No, it's not, obviously, because Milwaukee's much better than the Knicks. But I don't think that it's going to happen. I just think that it's not a foregone conclusion that Brooklyn just flies through Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee is one of those good teams that has done terribly in the playoffs for a few years, and they're going to be extra hungry. And like I said, Jrue Holiday's defense is great, so you put him on one of the guards. Middleton is underrated still. I think Chris Middleton's underrated as a scorer. When you watch him, he fills it up. And then Giannis, KD, there's an argument that since KD is not 100%, and he may not be till the finals, there's an argument that Giannis is more valuable in that series. So you start putting up.
There's no argument for that.
No, there is. There's a legitimate argument. Giannis is a back-to-back MVP.
What happened what happened to Giannis last year in the playoffs?
He got bounced. He got hurt. They were down 2-1. He didn't play the last 2 games. He got hurt.
He played like shit though. All year in the NBA playoffs, things go from this open court basketball to this. It becomes a completely different game. Giannis is so much less effective in the playoffs. He has been. He always will be. He doesn't have a jump shot to space the floor.
I agree that he doesn't have a jump shot. He still can get to the hoop and kick. KD does have a jump shot, but I'm just saying there is an argument that Giannis could be more valuable because of his size and dominance in the paint when he doesn't shoot. I don't want him to shoot. If he shoots like even 2 threes a game, that's just 2 wasted possessions. You just don't want him to be shooting. But let's get back on track because I know you want to talk about New York, Atlanta, and I think this series is going to be super fun. This is the one that I want to tune in for every single game, aside from Milwaukee Heat. I think that's a good series too. But I want you to start. Go ahead. Talk about it.
Why can't we view one of these 2 teams as legitimate contenders to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Because Philly's going to beat
one of these
both.
2 teams. You don't think they can beat Philly?
I don't. I give Philly a lot of respect.
I just don't understand how you can view Brooklyn as worse than Philly. Because you're essentially saying Milwaukee has a chance to beat Brooklyn.
I literally said
the Knicks or the Hawks don't have a chance to beat Philly.
Yeah, okay, but here's what I also said, is when you said the team with the best chance to beat Brooklyn is the Knicks, I said you were blasphemous. I think the drop-off from 3 to 4 in the East is tremendous. I mean, can you argue with that?
Yeah, I mean, I get how you see it.
If you think about what I actually said.
Talent-wise, no. Legitimately, no. I'm not like dumb in the fact that...
Talent-wise, yes, more than anything else. What do you mean?
Talent-wise, no, I won't argue. No. Talent-wise...
Okay. I was going to say.
No, I will argue the fact that Milwaukee has Giannis, 2-time MVP. Philly has Joel and Ben. Brooklyn has Jesus number 2 and Jesus number 3. And New York has Julius Randle?
That's what I'm saying. Ooh. Yeah. There's a tremendous drop-off. And who's New York's 2? RJ Barrett?
Yeah, RJ Barrett. Legend. They have heart, Sam.
They have heart, and I love the Knicks.
They have legitimate heart.
You're preaching they play to the gosh darn choir.
Such hard basketball. I understand that, and that's what I think. I think that's what it takes to win the NBA in the playoffs. Because we see it time in, time out again. Things slow down. We
see time in and time again.
The 3-point shooting teams.
We see superstars winning the title. We see superstars.
Yeah.
We see 3 of them.
I agree, which is why I think your Indiana Pacers taking 2 games to Philly is absurd.
The Indiana Pacers. I'm not saying they're winning the title. I'm saying that they're a solid team.
You're saying they're taking... All right.
Domantas Sabonis is a legitimate all-star.
I'm taking New York over Atlanta in 6.
Okay, pencil that in. So we can remember. I love New York this year, too. I don't think this series is going to be easy, but I think you're right. When the talent is not so drastically different, the heart is going to win the series. And I like New York in this series as well. I'm going to say 7 games. I think this is going to be a 7-game series. And since New York has that 4 seed, they're going to win a playoff series in MSG, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be one of the coolest things to happen in basketball in a while. And this Tibbs team is just great. And they have a way, I don't know I think it's even going to get better for them in the playoffs, but they're physical, and they defend without fouling, which is... there's a lot of fouls called because it's the NBA, but...
In the last 2 minutes of games, no team fouls more.
No, okay, but what I'm saying is throughout the game, the reason that they're in these games, because they're more or less, talentless, minus Julius Randle, is they navigate through games not fouling that much. for how physical they are. I'm not saying they, like, numbers-wise, if you stack them up.
Relative to how physical they are, then yes, that makes sense. Because they are not afraid to get on you, and they will pick you up full court and not give a fuck.
That's what I'm saying.
And I love that.
I think refs call less fouls in the. I think they let physicality run in the playoffs a little bit more, from what I've seen in the past. New York, I checked, they
100%.
have the lowest opponent's points per game this year. So they're in front of the Lakers in lowest opponent points per game. So that's a stat that I love to see, and I want it to be rewarded. They're going to win this series in 7. All right, should we move to the West?
No, we've got to finish.
No, we did the East.
Who we're taking to the Eastern Conference? Who are we taking to the championship?
We're taking a long time, huh? This is fun, though. I like this episode.
All right, Knicks, Sixers.
Okay.
We both agreed Knicks, Sixers.
Yeah, Knicks, Sixers. We'll speed it up a little bit. We've agreed on every series, just not the amount of games, right? Yeah. All right, So it's Knicks, Sixers. Let's start with that. I'm just going to... We've been talking about this a bit, and I think the Sixers are a really good team. Knicks have a ton of heart, and I think it's going to show, and their defense is going to be frustrating. And Tibbs playing all his guys, all his main guys, 48 minutes a game is going to be frustrating because these guys are fit. The Knicks are one of the most physically fit teams in the NBA. I think they could win 1 or 2 games. I'm going to give them 2 because of how much I like the Knicks this year. Okay, Philly in 6. They're just going to be too much talent for the Knicks, but the Knicks are going to show a lot of heart. What do you got?
Milwaukee, Brooklyn. Oh.
Hey, no. You make your pick.
Yeah. I'm taking the Knicks in 5. No, I'm just kidding. I thought you were going to spit your Coke out. It was gonna be
you should, dude. You're the king of bad takes. You should take the Knicks.
I'm the king of bad takes. Wow. Hate to see it.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing. You're like Stephen A. and Max Kellerman, whoever decides to take the bad take. You're them every single time.
Well, now my train of thought is gone.
It's okay.
I'll take Philly in 5. I mean, realistically, Embiid is just going to run through the Eastern Conference until he runs into KD in Brooklyn. I think that's what I'm going with this year.
You don't think Nerlens has a chance to stop Embiid in that series?
Ooh, Nerlens.
Nerlens is he's going to get a ton of blocks per game, but he's going to just get destroyed by Joel.
He's going to... He'll be on Shaqtin' a few times.
Yeah, all right.
Milwaukee, Brooklyn.
Yeah. You want to go first?
Brooklyn sweep. Brooklyn's not messing around with Milwaukee.
Brooklyn
will go sweep, all the way to the finals. They're that good.
No shot. No chance. And I think you're looking at this Brooklyn team like the big 3 are going to be in every single game. I would not be so sure that they all stay healthy for this whole time. And maybe they were being extra cautious. I mean,
why do you
definitely
think
they were being extra cautious.
They played like 7 games together all year.
I know, and they still won a ton of games. Shout out Steve Nash.
So that they can go 4-8-12 in the first 3 rounds of the NBA Eastern Conference.
That's not happening. They're going to lose a couple games to the Bucks, but you're right, they're going to win. And it's going to be in 6. Have you been writing these down still?
Yes.
I think Brooklyn's a little more fragile than you give them credit for. And maybe this is my bias against Brooklyn, because I really despise them as a team. But let's move on, because Brooklyn it makes me upset how stacked they are.
No, it does.
And Blake Griffin is playing really well. Did you see that play? That fast break?
Oh, my.
What the hell was that? That was
Blake's
too much.
Fucking pass?
Dude, that was awesome.
That was gnarly.
It was
so sick.
That was the best part of the play, for sure. I almost wish Chiozza would have given a worse alley-oop, because Kevin Durant can cover a lot more space than the oop. The oop was given to him right in the breadbasket. And it would have just, if he threw it off a little wonky and he had to catch one hand and just LeBron tuck back and slam, my goodness. But still, with that being said, it was the team play of the year. It was electric. It was showtime. And that clip, when I watched it, I was like, oh no, you might be right. They might sweep everything. Also, speaking of clips, do you see that LeBron dunk that I sent you? The alley-oop?
Yeah.
He was up.
Here's what I'll say.
Head at the rim.
Here's what I'll say about LeBron.
Should we get into LeBron later when we get to the Lakers, or do you have a good thought?
Yeah. Keep going.
I want you to run if you have a great thought.
I've had this thought for a few days. Like, it's pretty locked in, so keep going.
Okay, because I have a lot of thoughts too.
What our viewers don't understand is this is our lifestyle. Mm-hmm. When I'm pooping, when I am driving, when I'm at the grocery store, I am sitting here going, "What's really going on?" And I know you are too.
Yeah.
So with everything. So when a take comes up and you say, "Well, do you have a good thought right now?" No, this is premeditated, Sam. This is premeditated.
It's not for me. It's all improv. I don't even know anything about basketball. I do all my research, and I'm an actor. This is a part that I'm playing.
Keep going.
Eastern Conference Finals. Philadelphia.
You said Bucks in 6, right?
No, yes, I said Brooklyn in 6. I gave Bucks a couple games. But
no, Bucks in 6 versus the Heat.
I did, yeah. I gave the Heat 2 games because the Heat are a really good team.
That's a terrible take.
It's not a terrible take. They literally beat them last year. Eastern Conference Finals, Philadelphia, Brooklyn. And my picks might shock all of you. This series, and we already touched on it. Brooklyn, if there's a team that they don't match up well with, it is the Sixers or the Lakers. Those are the two teams that they don't have complete dominance over in terms of matchups because of the big men play. I don't know why.
The big men play of Marc Gasol and Andre Drummond?
Do you not know who Anthony Davis is?
You realize AD and KD are the same size. They're the same size human.
You think KD can guard Anthony Davis? You are out of your mind.
No. God, no.
Okay,
God, no. I didn't say that.
So big man play. Well, you inferred it, and you're wrong. AD is a big man. He is 7 feet tall, and he is strong. He is a big man. You think I was referring to Marc Gasol?
I don't.
I mean, that is
yes.
insane.
I thought you were referring to Marc Gasol and Andre Drummond, and I was about to take my shirt off.
In the slightest. Not in the slightest. I cannot even believe that you would think that.
All right.
But matchups. Let's just go down the line, and this doesn't mean Philadelphia has a better team. Just looking at matchups. So, who is going to guard Joel Embiid? Are they going to put Blake Griffin on him in crunch time? Because that's a nightmare. And there's no help defense coming in, really. Are they going to put Nick Claxton on him? Young, inexperienced, high upside. He can't do shit against Joel Embiid. DeAndre Jordan's the only guy in stature that can do anything against Joel Embiid on that team. DeAndre Jordan is a liability. I hate that I'm saying he's a liability on offense. Oh, wait, you have Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant, who gives a shit if he's a liability on offense. But he's a liability on defense, too. He doesn't switch as well anymore. He can't guard Joel Embiid either. So Joel Embiid is going to get his. We know that. It's kind of like inevitable, similar to when Shaq was in the playoffs. He's going to get his 35, 12, 6. And I think that's like the averages. I think he's going to have games that are bigger, games that are smaller. So they don't have a matchup for Joel Embiid. And then when you go down, I think Ben Simmons is guarding James Harden. I think James Harden is so amazing that he can't be completely contained, and he's going to have his stats, have his series. But I think if there was a perfect defender to put on James Harden in the entire NBA, it's Ben Simmons, because he's big, but he's also side-to-side quick, and he's long, and he's going to disrupt a lot. And he's an underrated part of defense is your smarts and your ability to think quickly, and I think he also has that, because he's not going to foul James Harden on a bunch of threes, because that would be a nightmare. So that's another matchup for me that it's like, I don't think Ben Simmons is going to get completely rocked by James Harden. So as I talk about this, I get discouraged, because then I'm like, all right, so what about Kyrie? This is terrible. And Matisse Thybulle, he doesn't start.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is what are you gonna let Kyrie just roam free all series? Who's gonna guard him?
It seems like you pretty much have to. And Kyrie has a way of finishing around the hoop unlike anyone else. So even with Joel Embiid helping over, he's gonna finish.
Rest in peace.
Man, did I just talk myself
Brooklyn
into a hole?
In 4.
It's not Brooklyn in 4.
Rest in peace, Brooklyn in 4.
I'm gonna.
Rest in
you know
peace,
what,
Brooklyn
Connor? And this is gonna be my bad take of the day. But I'm taking Philly. I'm taking Philly in 7 games.
How do you have another mask? Where's my other mask?
Games. I'm taking Philly, and it's mostly because I want it, but it's partially because I think it could happen. And by that time in the playoffs, something could happen to Brooklyn where there's either a dispute as to who takes the important shots, or somebody's out hurt because they've been struggling with injury all year, or Kyrie has a birthday in the family that he has to attend. So there's a lot of ways Brooklyn won't have all 3 guys.
There will be 0 birthdays for Kyrie. Kyrie will be scoring as much as Joel Embiid, and it'll completely negate how well Joel plays. And then you'll forget and remember that James Harden and Kevin Durant are also on the team, and it'll be Brooklyn in 4, and then we'll talk about the West. All right, is that your pick? You've made your pick? Philly in 7?
Philly in 7.
Lock it in? All right, Philly in 7. There it is. Cool. Awesome.
The process will be completed. And then they're going to,
I cannot believe that just happened. I can't believe that just happened. Whoo!
It's on the record. We had to disagree on one series. So, for the listeners and for me,
the best one to disagree on.
I'm very excited about that series.
Here's the only possibility where your scenario happens, and it's because Brooklyn has to play Milwaukee right before. And if Milwaukee really puts a pounding on them and it goes to 6 or 7, and then they have to go play Philly, because Philly could easily go 4-0 against New York or Atlanta. You know what I mean? So it's like all of a sudden Philly's sitting there with a week break and Brooklyn's grinding just to beat Milwaukee. And then they have to go play Philly again?
I think that's a valid argument. I'm glad you said it. I should have said it.
Did I just talk you back into your pick?
I'm into it. I made the pick.
Did I just talk you back into your pick?
I like that. That's a very solid point, Connor, and thank you for validating me. And now let's move on to the West, because we are dragging this out.
No one's got this far. No one is listening this far.
No, they're listening. Now this is really good stuff. Really solid stuff. Excuse me. All right, playing games real quick. Let's shoot off our picks. First playing game, Spurs, Grizzlies. Make your pick.
Grizzlies.
Okay. Second playing game, which is tonight. Come on, Lakers. Lakers, Warriors, what's your pick?
Golden State.
See, everyone says it, which makes everyone laugh. So I take Grizzlies.
I'm just teasing. That is not my take. I just wanted to see your face.
Okay, well, you got a face.
Yeah, no, it's Lakers.
So I take Memphis Lakers as well. Second playing game, Memphis Warriors. What's your take?
Yeah, I'll take Golden State.
I have to tend to agree.
Do you think LA would rather play Phoenix
than
or Utah round one?
Phoenix. Phoenix is in trouble. I feel bad for them as an organization. I feel bad for Chris Paul. I think they had a great season just to freaking face the Lakers. I think that's terrible for them. Because DeAndre Ayton can't do anything against Anthony Davis. He has potential, but he's just not that guy. So I also take Warriors.
Spider's been like hurt in and out.
I know.
Like I don't know if Utah's at 100% either.
Doesn't matter. I still it's all about the matchups, Connor. All about the matchups. Let's move on. So we both think Lakers are 7 seed, Warriors are 8 seed, and let's start. So Warriors Utah. That is a fun series, I think, especially with what you're saying about how Spida is kind of in and out. Utah's a little short-handed. They're not loaded with perimeter defenders, which is a problem against Steph Curry. So what do you think that happens in that series?
I mean, I could realistically see the Warriors winning that series.
I don't think that's a crazy thing to say at all. I think that's a lukewarm take.
I'll take Utah and I'll take.
Take.
Can you? I'm gonna take Utah in 6.
I really wanted you to take
and
Warriors.
I don't feel good about it.
I wanted you to take Warriors because I'm taking Utah. I'm taking Utah in 5. I think Utah's a really good team. I think they are not very overrated or anything. I just like them.
So you think they're legitimately the number 1 best team in the Western Conference?
No, the Lakers are the best team in the Western Conference. Let's not kid ourselves.
So how could they not be overrated then? They're the number 1 seed in the Western Conference legitimately on paper.
Because they won the games to get there. We don't think they're going to win. Nobody thinks they're going to win. They'd be overrated if everyone thought they were going to win a championship.
Oh, so you're saying relative to the vibe that
overrated it's based on the beliefs of the public. People don't think Utah's going to win a championship.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
They are not overrated. Welcome to my seminar about overrated and underrated. But yeah, I like Utah in 5. I think they're a really solid team. I think the Warriors have so many shortcomings, and they just have Steph Curry carrying them. And you've said it in the past, you don't love Steph Curry down the stretch in the playoffs. I think this year he could have a few games where he just goes off in the end to get a couple games against the Jazz. That's a possibility, but I think Jazz might not even give him that chance. I think they're just a far better run team. They have a lot of guys who can step up. Next series is the Phoenix Lakers, which is going to be really fun to watch. But like I said, I feel bad. I feel bad for Chris Paul. He changed the organization's outlook entirely. He had a team that, without the Lakers in front of them, I think have a legitimate chance to make the Eastern Conference Finals, to even make the finals. I genuinely believe that. I don't think the Clippers are much better than them. I think that series would be interesting. I just think they really got put in a bad spot. So I think it's Lakers in 5. If the Lakers snag that 7 seed, they're going to do what they did last year. They're going to lose the first game. Everyone's going to talk about how, the Suns are going to win. The Suns are better. Then they're going to win 4 in a row because LeBron's going to be like, I feel like winning. So that series to me, if it happens that way, if the Lakers lock that 7 seed, it's cut and dry. I think the Lakers. I don't think Phoenix has any course of action to beat the Lakers. What about you?
Yeah. I mean,
it's a bummer.
If Phoenix beats the Lakers, it's tragic.
Yeah.
And part of me can't get over the fact that I'm actually genuinely just rooting for Phoenix this year. Mm-hmm. I just want Chris Paul to get one, and this is his chance.
I feel the same way.
But he wouldn't win it because he runs into Brooklyn. And they get just throttled. So it's
exactly.
the only chance of someone beating Brooklyn is the Lakers.
And that's why I think a lot more people should get behind this Lakers team.
If the Clippers play their best basketball, peak level basketball, can they beat Brooklyn?
Peak level, if you're talking Kawhi in those finals.
I'm talking Kawhi in those finals. I'm talking playoff Rondo. I'm talking Paul George playing the best defense and offense he's ever played.
They can't.
So then it's just
not
LA.
deep. It's just LA. I mean just the Lakers. Sorry, because we were talking about an LA team and then we said it's just LA.
Yeah, but it's the Clippers.
Yeah, it's the Clips. I think the Lakers may have the only chance, aside from Philadelphia, of course, to beat the Nets. So, do you have your pick for that series?
No, you're right. Yeah, I'll take Lakers in 6.
Lakers in 6.
Phoenix is gonna get 1 or 2, and it's gonna be more than 1. I think they could go 1 at Talking Stick and 1 in LA.
I think you're right. I respect Phoenix to be a very good team. We've talked about it. I think they got put in a bad situation. Who knows though? Golden State could beat the Lakers in this play-in game tonight. I don't think it's gonna happen. But if that happens, Phoenix is beating the Warriors, and it'd be great because we both want to see Phoenix do some damage. And I think it doesn't matter for the Lakers, and I think it shows. I think the Lakers don't really care that much where they land because they know they're the best team, which is, when you see a team like that, I think it strikes fear into the other teams. I mean, we saw how much Denver and the Clippers were trying to avoid the Lakers. Did you see that? How they were just...
Yeah.
The Clippers lost to the Rockets and the Thunder back-to-back to end the year just to not have a chance to be on the same side of the Western Conference bracket as the Lakers. When you see that as a Laker, you're like, oh, they're scared of us? That means we're better than them. We're going to beat them. I don't think the Lakers care where they land. I think no matter what, they think we're the best team. We're going to the finals. And that is freeing. But the play-in game really makes me nervous anyway. Okay, so we both pick Lakers.
Dude, LeBron's like 1,000 years old, and teams are still trying everything they can to avoid him. And people still won't respect him.
It's...
Everyday Joe's on the street.
We can't get into it. We can't because it's triggering, and we could talk about it for 3 hours straight. How people just refuse to respect LeBron. It's unbelievable. You're right. I mean, he's 36, and every team in the Western Conference is trying to avoid him. He created a power shift in the NBA in the past couple of years where everyone moved to the East. How can you not respect a guy that does that? It's crazy. Okay. So next series it's the Denver-Portland series, which this is one that I really like. You want to go first?
Yeah, this is a good series because obviously playoff Lillard is a thing, CJ, but Jokic, like me and Sam were talking yesterday, Jokic was just, even after Jamal went out, he's been playing great. That team is still winning. This is a tough pick for me, actually. I think Denver obviously will probably get it done just because Jokic is that good, but they're not at full strength.
I think a lot of it hinges on whether or not Michael Porter can be a 2 guy. If he can show up and score 24 a game consistently and
which I think
do it efficiently.
Yeah. I think he can because Portland doesn't have any great wing defenders.
Except, Robert Covington's a really great wing defender.
Ooh.
Like, really great.
Yeah, but who does...
And I almost forgot about him, too.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking of Gary Trent and Norman Powell trade. I was like...
No, Norman Powell's a decent wing defender, too. Yeah, decent. He's not going to be on Michael Porter because Michael Porter has that pure jump shot that releases at like 8.5 feet. What's your pick for that series, did you say?
You might have just talked me into Portland. I think it goes 7. It goes 7, and I'm going Portland because Lillard will just hit a game winner in Game 7 in Denver and send shockwaves through the earth again. It'll be his third one, his third game winner. His first one
to win a series.
I'm sorry, his second one. It's right up here on my wall.
Oh yeah,
Woo!
That's awesome. Okay,
kind of lit.
You're gonna be surprised. I think it's Portland in. You know what? Maybe you won't be that surprised. I think it's Portland in 6th. I think Jokic is the MVP, and I think he's been tremendous. But we've said it. The playoffs are a little different, and Portland, it's not like they're inexperienced. They haven't done a ton of damage, but they've been to a conference finals. I think they're a solid team. I think their shortcomings aren't going to be exposed until the next round because I think they're not great. I just think that Denver shorthanded. It's uphill battle.
If Phoenix wins, I'm sorry. If the Warriors win tonight and play Phoenix, and Phoenix wins that series, do they just blow through Portland, or is that another good series, 5, 6, 7 games?
Good series. I think if Portland Phoenix happens, which most likely won't, I think Portland has it. I think Portland has a good chance to make the conference finals. And then, when they're in the conference finals, who are they playing? The Clippers? I mean, they would have a chance to make the finals, and then they would just get absolutely ran by the Nets. But I don't think any of this is going to happen. But it's an interesting hypothetical.
Yeah, they would get plowed by the Nets, and I'm not so sure that the Lakers or the Clippers don't get plowed by the Nets in the finals.
Yeah, the Clippers just aren't deep. So we have that pick.
Keep going. We got to finish this up.
What's next? The 4 or 5? The Clippers, Dallas.
Clippers, Mavs?
Yeah, you know what? I really don't like the Clippers. Oh, man. You know, this year could be the year that the Clippers meet the Lakers, and since they tried to avoid the Lakers so much, it could be just a time of reckoning where the Clippers have to really look introspectively and realize we're not enough. We're not enough to beat 36-year-old LeBron. We're still the second best team in LA. So with that being said, I'll take Lakers in 6 because I think Doncic will have two big Luka games.
Lakers?
And Matt,
you said Dallas in 6.
Oh.
Okay.
Clippers in 6. Doncic is going to get two of those big games where he can just will a win because he took them to 7 last year. So Doncic can do it without anyone. He can win a few games. Next up is the second round, which have we agreed so far on everything?
I haven't been filling this out, but I'll go through and watch and fill it out.
We've agreed on everything because we both took Utah over Golden State. And then we just took the Clippers. So, Utah Clippers.
We took Portland, and we took Phoenix.
Yeah, I know, but let's do the 1-4. Utah Clippers, what do you think?
Ooh, that's a good series. Gobert is a big impact on that series. I don't know if Zubats is really going to do anything there. Do you think the Lakers miss Zubats?
No.
No, that deal is kind of like a weird deal anyways. I'm going to go Clippers in 6. I'm going to go Clippers in 6.
Okay.
Because I think this is the year that the NBA force feeds us the LA series. They'll the refs will have a little bit of a play into force feeding us that series.
Stop.
Let me finish. Okay. Because they know the Eastern Conference is going to be so boring with Brooklyn just sweeping that they want to The LA Clippers, LA Lakers series will be the biggest series of this NBA playoffs if it happens.
Unless, can I give you one alternative? If the Knicks-Brooklyn series happens.
Oh, the Knicks-Brooklyn series happens? Then yes, the Knicks win that series.
No, I'm just... That's not what I was getting at. I'm saying what's bigger? What's a bigger story? What gets more eyes on the TV?
Could you imagine Knicks-Brooklyn Eastern Conference Finals and Clippers-Lakers Eastern Conference Finals?
It would be great for us.
That's the mecca of sports.
That'd be pretty fun.
And
yeah. Okay, let's move on. So wait, you said Clippers in 5 against Utah?
That sounded a lot. Yeah, we'll go Clippers in 5. Yeah.
All right, I'll take Clippers in.
I think playoff Rondo
6.
is a real deal.
I'll take Clippers in 6. Next up is the Portland versus Lakers, a repeat of a series from last year. And I don't think the Lakers have any problems at all. I'm going to say Lakers in 4. And I could explain why. We all saw why it happened last year. It's because KCP is a nonstop pest guarding either CJ McCollum or Damian Lillard, and they're going to get theirs. I'm not saying KCP is a complete lockdown on them. I'm just saying if there's a guy like that who has a relentless motor guarding you, it almost changes your mentality. And I think KCP puts in a ton of work, watches a ton of film. I think he's a brilliant defender. And the Lakers have other perimeter defenders that can also take up some minutes, like Dennis Schroeder. So I think Lakers in 4. I think they're just a much superior team.
I'm going to go Lakers in 6 here, and the only reason I say Lakers in 6 is because I think this is a place for LeBron to get some healing on that high ankle sprain after a tough series against Phoenix. So I think they may sit him for a game or 2 there, and Portland might get have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
If it is 6 games, it is literally because the Lakers decide to play AD 22 minutes and LeBron literally sits.
Mm-hmm.
If LeBron and AD play in any game in that series, they will win that game.
Okay, I agree. I think that's a pretty good.
It's a little in depth, but it just seems.
No, I like that.
It seems like the one series where they can get LeBron some rest on that ankle before they have to go into either Clippers, or if Utah beats the Clippers, then Utah's going to be feeling really good, and the media is going to be making them look really good too, which I don't think they are, but it's going to be like one of those situations where Utah all of a sudden becomes a possible favorite.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I think LeBron, though, can I just quick say that he doesn't need rest, and I think he accidentally played his hand when he got that alley-oop, and it was kind of out of reach for a guy with a high ankle sprain, and then he just went up, head at the rim, and just freaking got it. I mean, and then he played a back-to-back. There's no back-to-backs in the playoffs. So LeBron just played a back-to-back off of his high ankle sprain, played well in both games. I don't think he needs it, but you're right. The Lakers
high ankle sprains don't
cautious.
High ankle sprains, they're weird injuries. Like, you can tweak it walking upstairs and putting too much pressure on your foot, but jumping and dunking and stuff, it doesn't necessarily affect it. I don't know.
He played a back-to-back. That's more of a tell, in my opinion, than the dunk.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Lakers versus Clippers. That's fun. Clippers. We both clipped it. All right, we all both picked it. I'm so tired. All right, let's wrap it up. Lakers, Clippers. I don't think the Clippers have a shot. I think, like I said earlier, I think this is their time of reckoning. They've been avoiding the Lakers in the playoffs. And with what we've seen, avoiding the Lakers means avoiding a chance at a title, because the Lakers or who you have to play through in the West. And I think
because they have LeBron James.
Because they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but it's because of LeBron. I'm going to take Lakers oh man, it would be really fun to see a 7-game series. Really, really fun. But I think the Clippers just aren't deep enough to get to that point. So I'm going to take Lakers in 6. I think the atmosphere is going to be wild. It's going to be raucous. All right, what's your pick?
Are we doing fans for that?
There's going to be fans. There's some fans. And there's going to be more and more because of the new no mask update for the CDC and stuff. And
part of me wants to pick the Clippers here. Part of me wants to pick the Clippers here. Because I actually really would love to see the Clippers play Brooklyn. Because I think they match up better than you think. Because Paul George is an underrated defender.
I wouldn't even say underrated. I think he's
against KD. Kawhi against KD would be for 7 games would be such a fun series. And Rondo on Kyrie, Rondo would piss Kyrie off that entire series. Rondo would piss Kyrie off that entire series, nag him, talk to him, piss him off, Stephon Marbury style. Just yap, and it would send Kyrie for a loop that he's never been looped on before. And I think that would be a really good series. But I don't think you're right. I don't know if the Clippers have an answer for AD. I mean, Trez was like huge for them. I mean, if you add Trez to this team, they look scary all of a sudden to upset the Lakers, right? But we took Trez.
No, the Lakers.
I say Trez. We like
Yeah.
People need to understand that my fandom of the Lakers is not real unless LeBron is playing for them.
The Lakers are so deep, and the Clippers are the opposite of that. The Clippers run an 8-guy rotation a lot of times. Serge Ibaka could come back. That would help them a ton. But
Serge came back, and he looked great. Serge is back, and he looked great.
Okay.
Serge is back, and he looked great. He had 14 and 7 on like 17 minutes.
I don't think it matters enough.
He looked great.
Did you make your pick?
No, I haven't made my pick, Sam. Because I don't know what I want to pick. Siri, pick pick. Just pick. Oh God, I'm picking Lakers in 7. I'm picking Lakers in 7. Don't fall asleep, Sam. We're in a podcast.
That's a fun pick. I like that pick. All right, for the finals, we have two different finals. Mine is Lakers Philly. Yours is Lakers Brooklyn. Give me yours.
Yeah. I have to take Brooklyn. Do I? I don't know. No, you start because I haven't made a decision on this yet.
Man, okay, so obviously we know where my loyalties lie. It's the Lakers. But I think it's really a tough series with Philadelphia. It almost, and you're going to, tell me I'm crazy, but it almost worries me more, the prospect of playing the Sixers than playing the Nets. Because I know that Ben Simmons is going to be pestering LeBron constantly. And LeBron, he's stronger than Ben Simmons, but he can't just overpower him like he does to so many other teams. But with that being said, I think Lakers. I'm going to take Lakers in 7 because I think this is going to be the most difficult championship of LeBron's career to this point. Cleveland was very, very difficult, but Kyrie was playing great. There's just something about being a 7 seed, and if you can navigate to the finals, it's really impressive, and I think it's going to culminate in dramatic fashion. And Lakers in 7. Take the mask off your eyes. I don't know what that even signifies.
The mask is just me signifying that I don't respect your take. And I'm really enjoying it, and it will be coming back to more episodes. Like when you give me a bad take, the mask is going on.
You should find a better mask. You should find like a Bill Clinton mask or something.
No, I'll find something. Here's the situation. This is the last finals that LeBron James plays in. This is the last NBA finals that LeBron James plays in.
I disagree, but go on.
Brooklyn is the best team on paper that LeBron will ever play against. They're better than the Warriors. In order for LeBron to become the greatest of all time in even more people's eyes, he must win this series against Brooklyn. And he needs to show Kevin Durant that no matter what you do in life, I am your legitimate father. And that's what this series will come down to. That is what this series will come down to. KD will never get to say another word to LeBron ever again. Mm-hmm. KD will never get to speak to him. Kyrie and LeBron in a finals against each other.
I love it.
Kyrie's career might be over. And James Harden just continuing to show that his game does not play well in the playoffs.
His game's changed, though.
James Harden, his game has changed.
So we'll see.
James Harden is the legitimate X factor in this series because I think AD and KD is a great matchup.
But KD isn't going to be guarding AD, and AD is probably not going to be guarding KD.
AD will be guarding. Oh, Trez? You think Trez guards KD?
Trez doesn't get a ton of minutes. Who guards KD?
Trez is a great defender. That's why he won that Sixth Man of the Year award.
Yeah, but
LeBron isn't playing on defense.
That much. Yeah,
LeBron.
So then you put KCP
LeBron likes to
KD.
Play that Freemason roaming position where he doesn't have to lock anyone specifically down. He can go get a stop on anybody at any time, and he can be in passing lanes. I don't think he wants to guard KD for a whole series.
Well, then it has to be Contavious, and Contavious is a relatively
KCP on KD.
I'm just saying what it has to be. What do you? I mean,
no. It's got to be AD, right?
AD, I mean, he's laterally quick, but I think that's a tough matchup for him.
It's not Kuz?
It's Kuz when Kuz comes off the bench, potentially. Who's it? I mean, who is it? I'm just saying, if it's
AD.
not LeBron.
That's what I'm saying. It's not Keith.
It's not Keith. It's LeBron, KCP,
it's gotta be LeBron.
and Kuz.
LeBron's going to have to guard KD, and KD's going to absolutely eat LeBron for the entire series.
Well, KD will eat anyone. It has to be LeBron, and if it's not LeBron, KCP is gonna play some minutes on him in the perimeter.
No, it's AD. KCP is playing. KCP will play Harden. KCP will be stuck on Harden all series.
I tend to agree with that. I'm just saying if it's not LeBron, it's who else? Because I don't think AD.
Unless KCP guards. KCP could guard KD and THT, and Schroeder could spend time guarding. Harden
THT
and
is
Kyrie.
long. His wingspan, he'd be annoying.
Is long.
Caruso's going to play a good amount of minutes, and he's one of those energy guys on defense, and he's really athletic, so he's a good defender. Do you have your
Anyways,
pick?
Can I finish my spiel?
Yeah.
Can I finish my spiel? Anyways, when it comes down to it, there are people, my father, I don't know about your father. There are people, my friends that are older, that were around in the Jordan era, that agree or disagree with me that LeBron is the greatest of all time. And if LeBron wins this series against KD, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, and they still want to disagree that he is the greatest of all time, they are clinically delusional, and that is no longer on LeBron. But I can agree with their point up to now that I see their side of the argument. But if he wins this one, there is no more argument. It's game over. And I think that's why the Lakers win in 7 games. And they win in Brooklyn. Because LeBron hasn't won in New York. So, that would be a cool place for them to win. Mm-hmm. And, there we go.
There we go. I think LeBron gets it done. I want to mention something. You know how old basketball players and older analysts are a little delusional about their time and how it was tough and nobody could play in their era and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That's like as old as time. People don't think current players could play in their era, and it's all bullshit. I saw an interview of Wilt Chamberlain talking about MJ. This was on one of the late shows, Letterman or whatever it was. And he said, yeah, he's really talented, really good, but if he's going into the paint with me there and other guys, I mean, he's going to get rocked. That's Wilt Chamberlain talking about MJ not being able to play in his era. So it's been going on since before this. These people who are obsessed with 80s, 90s basketball, like it's I don't know, the Bible.
Yeah, my uncle is one of them.
I know, and most people are, and
but
Stephen
he has a fair point
too. Well, it's refereed differently.
Think about James Harden's flopping when he goes to the bucket, and think about Bill Laimbeer. Bill Laimbeer would have picked up Harden, thrown him over the top of the backboard, and had him land on his face.
Can I tell you one thing you're not considering? And then
turned around and jogged down the court to play defense.
Can I tell you one thing you're not considering? You're considering in this hypothetical situation, you're thinking Harden is playing with today's rules and Bill Laimbeer is playing with 90s rules. You're not putting them on a level playing field. You're saying Harden uses his offensive tactics to flop to get to the free throw line, and Bill Laimbeer is playing in the 80s. That's not how it works. They would be both playing with the same rules. They both would have to adjust in a certain way, and Harden is an incredibly talented basketball player. He could play in any era. And that, if you don't think so, I think that is completely insane. No, but Harden's also strong. He's physically built like a strong person. So if he was in a different era, he would adjust. It's just so clear and obvious.
Here's the other thing.
Me.
I need you to name me, other than Rudy Gobert, 3 centers who are the best player on their team. Other than Rudy Gobert, Nikola Jokic.
And Joel Embiid.
Name another center who has... Okay, Joel Embiid. Who else?
I mean, that's 3 guys. You just listed 3 guys right off the bat. Who else is the best?
Beautiful. Keep going.
Well, let me think for a second, because there's a bunch of irrelevant teams out there who probably have a center.
There is none.
How about Cleveland? Is Jared Allen their best player? He's probably their most potential.
Jared Allen is irrelevant.
I don't know. What's the point you're going for?
You go back and look at this. This is the point I'm trying to make is, in the same era, at the same time, Hakeem, David Robinson, Shaq, Ewing, Zoe, Dikembe, Brad Daugherty, underrated as fuck, Rick Smits, Vladi, Kevin Willis, Sean Kemp. I mean, dude, like, the level of big man play back then was unbelievably different. Big men are almost irrelevant in the NBA now. Unless your name is Joel Embiid and you can shoot threes, or Nikola Jokic, who runs the floor and passes like a point guard, there are no big men left.
Yeah, but it's just
so for Harden, for you to say Harden's game matches up well when he's getting pummeled by Alonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing, and Shaq every night, I don't know. I disagree. I think it's a whole different game, and I think there's a lot of players today that couldn't play in that era, and I think there's a lot of players in that era that couldn't play today.
I just think there are. You're not wrong that there are a lot of players, but I look at James Harden. I look at one of the most skilled players we've ever seen. You don't think he could adjust? It's not like he's a thin, weak guy. He's a strongly built guy who is one of the most skilled players we've ever seen. I don't think it matters what era he's in. He can adjust and he can play in that era. And I don't think there's any question about it. But this is a very triggering concept for me, that everyone says people can't play in other eras. I just think people sit on nostalgia and think that their time's the best, and that'll happen forever. We are going to be old one day, Connor, and we are going to talk about how LeBron is the best, even if there's a second coming, and it's objectively wrong. We will always be like, LeBron's our guy, because we grew up with him.
Yeah.
I would like to say that, but one year and 2 years in.
Before Zion right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right, we got to be done. we planned on doing 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's an hour 15 because it was so fun. I thought this was like my favorite episode so far. If you made it this far, thank you for listening so much. To recap real quick, Connor and I both have the Lakers to win. I have them playing Philly. Connor has them playing Brooklyn. I'm not super confident about my Philly pick, but it's fun. So, yeah, that does it. Should we call it, Connor?
Yep.
I'm heading to Arizona. I get to see some of my best buddies.
Thank you for listening to Home Core Podcast.